I'm Mark Valley, and I have a new podcast where I spot, assess, and have coffee with spies, operators, and agents over stories of action, diplomacy, and intrigue.
Check it out at markvalley.com. It's the live drop.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Proops.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Nate Boyer.
This is Hilliard Guest.
This is Nathan
This
East.
is Rob Bell.
This is J.R. Robinson.
This is Dan Stone.
This is Dr. Bob Greenberg.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, I'm Mark Valley.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
Having to listen to yourself on microphones is almost as bad as having to watch yourself on video. Who would want to sleep with that?
Yeah. You know? I actually am not bothered by listening to myself as much as I am seeing myself.
How fat and old you get. Like, God damn, look at myself. Jesus.
You know, that first Matrix movie, which was great for a lot of good reasons, but there was that one moment that was really special. When Morpheus says to Neo, you're still dealing with your residual self-image. Excuse me, I'm always dealing with my residual. I look in the mirror and I say, what the fuck?
Yeah.
My residual self-image does not score up with the present reality and gets further away every freaking day.
Where is your residual self-image?
I'm probably at about 35, 36.
And let's say that the residual, of course, is, the root of residual is left over, right? Yeah. And I look at the mirror and go, look at what's left over.
Look how much more there's been added. Oh, that was the thing. I had all this hair, and I had this big mustache, and I weighed about 155 pounds.
Right.
I looked freaking great.
Yeah.
I should have been getting laid.
Weren't you?
No. Oh. I was married.
Well, okay. You could have, though. You and Freddie Prinze.
Yeah.
Before we get too far away, because we'll just do this all night.
I know, we shouldn't. We need to do something usable.
Yeah, a couple of things. One...
I'll finish writing all the shit I've committed myself to. I've got this whole new relationship with the Phoenix Symphony, which is taking me to Phoenix now. And all this came out of nowhere. Boom. And as usual, when you're self-employed, you have a choice. You say yes or you say no. But when you say no, it closes off
a lot of...
It closes off doors that you don't even know exist. And, thank you, sir. And when you say yes... You have to work 10 times harder than you thought you were going to have to work, but it opens up.
But yes begets yes.
Sweetie, if you'll excuse me, cheap as it sounds, for me, success has always been disguised as hard work.
Boy.
And that's it.
This stuff's good.
You bust your ass, good things happen.
Yeah.
Maybe. But if you don't bust your ass, nothing happens. I love this Gretzky line, and now I'm going to start sounding like some kind of, speaker. God.
Wait, I'm going to cut you off because I want to officially start the show, and you've already started it.
Yeah.
Started as you've done as many times as anybody else who's been on the show, I think, officially now. This is Dr. Bob Greenberg, and you're listening to the Break It Down Show.
Love being here, John. Love being here, Pete.
You got to say it, though.
Best buds.
Yes.
Love it. Yeah. Love it. Love it.
Say this is Dr. Bob Greenberg.
This is Dr. I love the doctor part, right?
Yes.
This is Bob Greenberg, Ph.D. The thing is, when you say doctor, then everyone wants to say, are you a real doctor? Or
we know you're not a real
doctor.
doctor.
Are you just a Ph.D.? Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's best just to say the Ph.D., which means, by the way, piled higher and deeper. And then you move on from there.
Yeah. What's ABD mean then?
ABD? I don't know.
Well, I mean, all but dissertation or whatever.
Oh,
but there's got to be a slick way of doing that. Like,
you're
not even full of shit yet.
Exactly. It means you're an also-ran, but bye-bye, loser in 3D. All but dissertation. You might as well say all but breathing.
Yeah, right.
Academically dead to me.
Would you please finish the bumper?
Oh, I'm supposed to be introducing myself.
Oh, yes. Yeah, this is and you're on the Break It Down show. I'll do it for you. Okay.
And now, the Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero, Mark Valley, and Pete A. Turner.
You are officially our first PhD, and it started a litany, a torrent of PhDs to include, we're about to put up a show with the Nobel Peace Prize winner who's a PhD.
Go away. Who?
Yeah, so there's got to be
amazing and slightly less cool.
But
yeah.
who?
Oh, his name's Steve Running, Dr. Steve Running, and he is... he won when Al Gore won. It was Al Gore and then a whole bunch of PhDs who we don't want to listen to. And Steve Running says, I'm practical. What I want, I'm not going to get, but here's what we actually can do. Can we just stop burning coal and burn something else instead?
I have suggestions, by the way, on whom we could burn, but it's probably more hot air than fuel. But I'm not going to go there.
But it'll be hot for a moment.
Yes.
If what we're trying to do is generate warmth.
And if you guys all can't tell, we are at the hospitable, lovely, gin-filled home of Dr. Bob Greenberg.
We can't say enough things about this house.
I love it here.
Because as a house, it's in probably the greatest perch on the planet. It's filled with the greatest things on the planet. Conversation pieces. It's beautifully decorated. It's inspiring. And it's got in it as its chief resident, our dear, dear friend. And we can't say enough about how much we love Dr. Bob Greenberg.
And the house itself was bought in 2003 thanks to Alan Greenspan,
Okay.
who was so busy
Right.
cutting interest rates. He
Right.
suddenly made a home possible for us that never would have been possible. And the rates haven't budged since then.
Yeah.
So
What a
God bless
job.
us all. Thank
What
you,
a
Mr.
job you
Greenspan. I raise my glass to you.
Cheers indeed to Big Al.
We are drinking martinis, as we do in the home of Dr. Bob Greenberg. I called you Dr. Grab. I'm telling you what, man, I just smell gin.
You get
and I'm
near
drunk.
gin, you're drunk. Island people can't drink that gin. And then we have in the house sitting in the shotgun is my long time buddy and someone I love just as much as I love Dr. Bob, Mr. Curt Dunaway, who will change your life if you get the chance to talk to him as well. And I wanted to put you two guys together because I told Curt, Mike, don't you dare miss out on this. This is going to be good.
And you've been telling me about Curt for ages.
Well,
That's
here's
right.
what happened
Thank
the
you for
other
being
night
here.
that I have to fill you guys in on, because Curt and I were on First Street in Benicia celebrating the tree lighting, as we do in our small town. And I ran into young Jose Alejandro Acosta, who is a young squire of mine. I'm honored to call him a young student, and just one of my favorite human beings because he's just such a warm, tender kid, and he is just a great young man in the making. We saw him on First Street. I pulled him in. I said, hey, because I haven't seen him in a while. I gave him a big hug. He hugged my wife, Christy. I said, I introduced him to Curt as just one of my absolute favorite human beings on the planet. And he thought that was a great introduction, and he was very warm about it. And I said, and this is Curt. He's probably my third or fourth favorite.
Oh, you didn't need to score him.
So, I've just given Jose a boost. He's a great kid, and Curt always throws in an assist when it comes to stuff like that. But here we are in the Casa Greenberg, and we are drinking martinis. Look, I am an eighth of the way down the glass, but I'm on the business end of the glass.
Correct.
And I'm snockered.
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
It's it's terrific.
Somehow your face is even red.
Do
now.
the ladies know how easy you could have been? Just ask him.
Two of them do.
Okay. All right.
Two of them.
Two of
And as
them.
long as there's two, it is plural. It's ladies.
That's right.
I'm working with you.
Yes.
Okay.
That is funny.
So we're here to talk about anything you want to talk about. Let's face it. We've gotten past all the formalities, and much of our audience knows all about you and the fact that you've taken up the torch for providing the universe with the curiosities of literate music, and we're beyond that. So now we're just going to sit here and bullshit and eat cheese.
Well, we can do that, but of course we're going to talk about some important things too. But
Yeah, you have some things that you've done.
Yeah, but thank you for your kindness. No, but that was really very beautifully put, John. I have to tell you something. You guys, you get it.
Okay.
There's so much great stuff out there. There's so much wonderful art that our species has created. All we're aware of when I read the paper every day. Here's what's happened to me. And again, no commentary. I don't want anyone to be unsafe here, but here's how I used to read the paper once upon a time.
Oh, boy.
I get the Chronicle and the New York Times, the San Francisco Chronicle. So the first thing I would do is pull out the sporting green from the Chronicle, because basically the San Francisco Chronicle has become a sports section with a couple of other things added on. Mm-hmm. And I'd find out how the Warriors or the Niners or the Raiders or the A's are doing, the Giants, and then I'd go on to the news.
Sharks.
Because the Sharks exec. I'm sorry, they're down in San Jose. And
Yeah, I know, but we adopt them.
I know it's hockey. It's a Canadian game. I get that. The whole idea of a California hockey team is just like all
It's a
wrong.
little foreign. It's a little foreign.
And all those guys that are Canucks, and they all have no teeth. And
It's no different than the Ice Capades touring through Florida.
there you have it.
Yeah.
One of my pals in college was a guy named Ricky Freeze, Friez, and he was from Medicine Hat, Alberta, and he was on the hockey team, as he should have been. I mean, if you're from Medicine Hat, Alberta, how else did you get into an Ivy League school? On a hockey scholarship, for God's sake.
I love Canadian town names.
Yeah, and those are like that and Moose Jaw.
Moose
Those are the ones
Jaw,
they always
yeah,
say on TV
right,
shows, like
yeah.
Happy Days.
Yeah.
Regina.
Regina. Yes.
Stop it.
Let's call it that.
Yeah. Well, that means, it means queen, but it's
Yeah.
way too close to the other word.
I'll say.
For my taste.
Well,
Exactly.
as soon as like on The Crown, the thing on Netflix, the great series, you guys should all watch it. They talk about what's your name, Regina, going to be, and it's like, well, come on, here comes the joke right
Yeah,
now.
right.
Like, yeah, what's your vagina name going to be? Elizabeth. All right, great.
Labia.
Let me. I'm trying not to laugh too hard with a mic.
So,
Major.
I just want to
I had
make
to eat that.
you didn't have to rank her. So there's.
Well,
I
it's
just want to
bigger or
acknowledge.
smaller. Excuse me.
I just
my
want to
God.
acknowledge, since you brought up the Warriors, and we're big Warriors fans.
Yeah.
We are once again at the lovely abode Casa Greenberg, slightly up the hill from Clay Thompson.
He moved. It breaks my heart. Yeah, Clay Thompson lived about 8 houses down until about halfway through last season.
Okay.
And then I think he moved out to Walnut Creek, which is where Steph Curry
Steph
lives.
Curry lives, yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, but we still have a good neighborhood. It's
It's
still-
beautiful
You
neighborhood.
guys too.
Clay
okay.
used to walk his dog right past the house, and Clay and that dog, it was a funny thing. And the kids loved him, and he was a sweetheart. It just, cool. All cool.
But it moved to the East Bay.
Well, we are in the East Bay.
Well, I mean, the East Bay.
He moved to the far east,
far
Bay,
east.
the Tri-Valley.
Wow.
But here we here in Oaktown,
That's
we
a step down.
we take Oakland. I've lived in Oakland now for almost 40 years.
We can say this. We're at Casa Greenberg in the biggity oak.
Yep, in the town of Oaks, and Oakland is as diverse and extraordinary a community as you're going to find anywhere. It's got a terrible reputation. It's seen, perceived, when it's perceived at all, as the Detroit or the Newark of the West. It is not. It's an extraordinary, wonderful place with just everything.
Yeah.
With everyone.
You know what I would
and
call it?
Everything.
I'd call it the Boston of the West.
No, I would call it the Oakland of the West.
Okay.
Here's.
I mean, if we have to bring an equivalent, because its diversity reaches from the absolute best.
What did I tell you?
There's nothing. There's nothing that compares to Oakland,
That's true.
especially where Dr. Greenberg lives.
That's true.
If you could see the view that I see right now,
Looking at John.
you
Yep.
would understand
Yep, I'm handsome.
the beauty
Yes.
of the Bay Area.
Yes, you would.
But you drive down. You
I
drive
got
down
a
the hill.
haircut.
You drive down the hill, and there's virtually every kind of store, every kind of restaurant, every kind of person you want to be with. And I'm really glad. I have 4 kids. Two of them were born in Berkeley, but they grew up in Oakland, and the other 2 were born in Oakland. They're growing up in Oakland, and I'm glad that this is the environment in which they're growing up, because they're learning one of the great lessons that any parent can give a kid, and that is look at the amazing. And I don't want to sound cliche, but look at this amazing diversity of humanity where everyone's ideas and culture matter. And every damned one of them counts. And we are so much stronger when we embrace it all and enjoy it all and love it all. So anyway, back to the point. I believe in Oakland, and I believe in the message that Oakland sends. And so, this perception on the outside that Oakland is this and Oakland is that, I have to say, one of the impressions people get of Oakland is watching NFL games, right? And watching the Oakland Raider fans. And soon it's going to be the Las Vegas Raiders, and that's great. I'm happy to give that image.
Also,
to
the fan
Las
base
Vegas.
won't change.
Yeah.
But look at the Oakland A's fans,
Right.
because I'm an A's diehard.
Yeah.
Excuse me, these are some of the best All right, I'm going to stop now. And, of course, the Warriors, blah, blah. But the bottom line is, love where we live.
Yeah.
Love what it means, having grown up in South Jersey. I get it. The beauty of where I live and the beauty of my community. And I will speak to it any time. If someone messes with Oaktown, they be messing with me.
They got to get through. They got to get through Dr. Bob.
They walk through me, correct.
Got to get through Dr. Bob.
You know, the funny thing is, we met you for the very first time in the studio of Dwayne Wiggins.
That's right.
And he is soul brother number one to us, certainly, and an Oakland loyalist. Now, he is, of course, of the Wiggins brothers who founded Tony, and Raphael Wiggins is now Raphael Sadiq, and he's in Los Angeles, and he's doing great things and making amazing music. But Dwayne stayed here in Oakland because he is of Oakland, and his fabric is woven of Oakland. And I think about Dwayne, and I think about you, and I think about the two of you in kind.
Right.
I just recorded a 20th century music course for the great courses, and I want to talk about this, and we will.
We will.
But I have to tell you something. In the 24th lecture, they insisted that I talk about the 24th and final lecture. They insisted, and I was easily swayed, that we talk about my music.
Yeah.
And so in talking about my music history, we talk about where I grew up and what I was listening to and what my background was and what turned me on when I was young. And of course, it was Tower of Power.
Right.
And so we actually provide a URL because we're not doing musical examples. We're actually pointing people to URLs.
That's great.
Of what is hip with Carlos Santana and Tower of Power. You listen to that, you'll get about 50% of what I'm about as a composer.
Man.
Okay,
Yeah,
you'll get the rhythm, you'll get the life, not the pitches. I'll admit, not the pitches. Okay, the actual pitches are mine, and you're going to hear that as modern music. But the energy, the power, the funk, the rhythmic sweep. I would like to think, in my most arrogant moments, that I've managed to capture that in my own music, in my own way.
Yeah.
And again, even as a kid living in New Jersey, I was enthralled by the Bay Area scene. You know, whether it was a Grateful Dead, whether it was Jefferson Starship or Jefferson Airplane
at the time, yeah.
or Tower. You know, it was just, this is where I had to live.
Let me just say this before we get past this thing, because this is how Oakland you are. Not only, did it move you when you weren't even here, you got it when you got here. And the 24th episode, as an A's fan, you'll know that Ricky Henderson's number is 24, and there's nothing more Oakland than Ricky fucking Henderson.
And I also have to point something else out. That lecture, that 24th lecture that I just recorded.
Did you slide head first?
No, I did something about it. It was my 666th lecture for the great courses.
Nice.
Wow.
666.
Nothing more rock and roll than that.
Sign of the you-know-whom. And
that was your episode.
That was my episode. So what is that saying? It's saying everything I want to say.
Yes.
You know why? Because Dr. Bob is dangerous.
No, Dr. Bob is a middle-aged Jewish man who can pretend that 666 is cool.
He's dangerous.
I'm
going with dangerous.
As opposed
I'm
to
edit that
as
whole
opposed
thing
to
out.
some papal legate who's going to say, "Oh no."
That whole piece is edited out,
Oh,
and I'm
bummer.
stopping it dangerous.
The power you have.
Let's talk about that, though.
Yeah.
Your most recent batch of the great courses. When you talk about your composition being energetic and powerful that way, and being attracted to the energy that was here, there are a lot of Tower fans in our audience, in our listenership, and they can relate to the fact that what you grew up on was, and what you were attracted to growing up, was music that had orchestration, that had collaboration.
Correct.
That had chords that made you feel things.
My favorite, and I'm so glad you bring this up, dude, because, okay, I'm growing up in Willingboro, New Jersey. That's Willingboro, the worst place in the world. I know some might say Nairobi is the worst place, and some people might say that, like Benghazi is the... No. None of you have been to Willingboro, New freaking Jersey, okay? And that's South Jersey, where, as we talked about, the only geography, the only bumps in the landscape were the leavings of the local dog.
We said it a little differently.
Well,
okay.
I'm trying to keep it clean here because I don't want you to cut things.
Okay.
I want you to
We're not going to cut that out.
I want you to present them. But I always grew up like everyone back east grew up. And I know you probably have a lot of people back east listening to the show. And
No doubt.
I mean no disrespect. Honestly, I'm a Jersey guy. I get it. But, you know, when you watched TV back then, all the TV shows were filmed in California.
Right.
The California ideal was what you got. It was mostly a Southern California ideal. And my father's sister moved to Southern California with her family. So I had family in L.A., in Culver City, which is where they shot so many movies. There was a huge romance to California. But then I came to California at the age of 18 to go camping with my cousin, and we went up and down the coast, and I absolutely fell in love, and I said, I'm coming back. And I did come back just a few years later, and I settled and I stayed. It's, for me, a dream living here. And the music that I loved most when I was growing up was either San Francisco bands or the virtuoso bands.
Okay.
Now, first understand, I'm a jazz player. I'm a Steinway artist, and I was made a Steinway artist because of my jazz playing.
Yeah.
So that's a different story. But let's talk rock and roll, because I also played in every rock and roll band I could have played in. The bands I loved the best were the ones that either had tremendous virtuosity on site. I mean, Jimi Hendrix experience.
Right.
Cream.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Those three freaking guys on Cream.
Such thickness.
Oh, compositional integrity to everything they did.
Yeah.
I mean, I still imitate Ginger Baker rhythms when I play the piano. And of course, when it comes to guitar, we don't even know, we don't even have to talk about that.
Yeah.
And the other bands I loved were the big mixed bands. Tower Power,
Cold Blood,
Chicago, Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Blood, Sweat, and Tears, yeah.
Because they were these intersections of funk and jazz and rock and roll.
Right.
And there's been no greater influence on me than those bands. Now, again, if your listeners heard my music, they would probably, turn around, vomit, then come back and say, how dare he even invoke these sacred names in that music? But in my heart, my music is...
No, we know it comes through. Through. And here's the thing. When you have that kind of inspiration informing your compositions, you have something in your hands that drew you to this area, and something in your heart that made you say, I need to take this expression in a different direction.
Well, my generation of composers, at least American composers, but I think pretty much everyone. I mean, what makes American music at any level? And to me, it's the rhythmic energy.
Yeah.
To me,
that's what speaks to the independence. That's what speaks to the freedom that we so embrace and enjoy.
I love that you just said independence. I love that, John.
The real Dr. Greenberg is here.
No, because John says stuff. John says stuff that's just sensational. Because if you think about what purely American music is, this extraordinary combination of West African music and European music that was created by Black Americans. We're talking about blues, jazz, rock and roll, and all the other offshoots.
All that stuff,
all the other offshoots. It is the ultimately democratic music where everyone has his or her say in a particular way. It's just like chamber music, except chamber music is scripted. But again, a great string quartet is all about, for example, 4 individuals, each with his or her own part, contributing to the greater good. I mean, it's very much what Rousseau said in his whole social revolution, that every person must contribute to the democratic whole. But the improvisation of jazz and blues and rock and roll takes another step further.
Right.
It recognizes the common voice, the importance of each individual voice. We're not just playing a script. We're creating it as we go.
It's one thing in the scripted world of chamber music to say, you know what, we need a cellist who will punch somebody in the mouth. And then to express that in the composition. It's another thing to say, this guy on the guitar, I just watched him punch somebody in the mouth, and I'm going to let him play whatever he wants to play.
Right. Yeah. But you know what? Jazz is the ultimate musical manifestation of American democracy.
Right.
Yeah. Where everyone, it's a town meeting.
Is absolutely free to express.
Free to express, and everyone else is silent while he or she makes that expression, and then you must reflect on it.
Right.
You must react to it, not disregard it,
Right.
but actually work with it. And so, you know, American music is so freaking wonderfully indicative of the best of our culture. And here's, by the way, to me, the great irony of all of this. The world sees America's greatest contribution to the world cultural stage as blues, jazz, rock and roll, ragtime, and all these hip-hop, all these amazing genres. And that is America's greatest contribution
absolutely.
to
It's
world
our
culture.
unique contribution.
It is our melting pot music, and yet the people who created that music, the Black American community, have never been welcomed into the melting pot. They've never been part and parcel to the pot which we hold as most representative of who we are. When I, excuse me, and again, I'm not trying to get political here. I'm just going to say that there's been a lot of encouragement to certain elements in American culture over the last year that, to me, are not positive aspects of who we are. And the racist bands are among them. The hits that certain nasty-ass bands are getting right now on the internet have increased exponentially since November 2016, excuse me. How do we tell these people in these how do we tell these jerks in these rock bands that are singing about hate that they're using a medium that has evolved from West Africa?
Right.
They would stomp me to death with their hobnailed boots, wouldn't they?
They would.
But the bottom line is...
Well, they would anyway, because you're a Jew.
Yeah, I'm a Jew, and I look small. I'm a Wolverine, but I look small, right? So,
A middle-aged Wolverine.
That's bad because the teeth are gone, and you want to listen.
Though.
Isn't there someone else you want to stomp to death first? Listen. I hear your mom calling you. Right. Go tell her she's calling you.
I just want to say that right now, if I was a single man and I was going to be out on the prowl, I'd say, you know what I need? I need a chick magnet.
I wanted to take a second out of the show and talk to you guys about our sponsor, WeFixYourScript.com. What I love about these guys is they're encouraging you, just like John, Mark, and I, to create something. If you think screenwriting is your thing, or if you've got a script that you're kind of stuck on, this is what you do. You don't got to buy anything. Just give these guys a call. Schedule a 15-minute consultation for free. It's WeFixYourScript.com. I highly encourage you guys to support these guys. Reach out to us. Reach out to them. Reach out to WeFixYourScript.com.
What should I do to get a chick magnet into the club with me? I'll bring Dr. Bob.
Oh, my God, I love you. and we're there, except my wife, Nancy, might not be overjoyed with that. But you know what? I'm working with you on this, and maybe we can make this happen.
That's right.
Just on an experimental basis.
Well, it's not happening.
It's not to you either. Exactly.
I want to
exactly.
There's no good answer to your question, and I want to do a little bit of business and turn the conversation towards a better spot.
Sorry.
Because no, don't be sorry, because it's just we can do more work, and I want to recognize, because you helped me do this. We recognized my dad the last time we got together because he had passed, and when you talked about your heart. A lot of your heart has to come from your dad, and you used your dad in every single show that we did. Yeah. You talked about your dad as the model with the 90-99, kind of thing. And you lost your dad in the last month.
October 21st.
Okay, so a little more than a month. I wanted to make sure that we have a chance to return the favor and, not necessarily make the show about your pop, because I don't think he would even necessarily want that, but let's take a moment and understand his impact on your life in terms of music and do however it is that you want to contribute his memory into this, because this show stays up forever. Right next to the Gottschalks video we show Curt, like, this is what Dr. Bob does. Because it's Oakland, it's Gottschalks, and it's scandalous.
What happens in Oakland does not stay in Oakland. Right? Yeah.
I like to point that out as the episode where Dr. Bob used the word, and frankly, absolutely colloquially correctly, pimp.
No.
He called him a pig, I'm called Chuck a pimp.
Correct. He'd be a pimpin' dude.
He was pimping.
But now we're not talking about my dad. We're talking about Louis Moreau Gottschalk. Okay, I just want to point that out.
So let's shift gears and talk about your dad because he did have an impact on you.
Listen, of course, if a dad doesn't have an impact on his son, something
not doing his work.
terrible has gone wrong.
Right.
And my dad had a tremendous impact on me. He was a beautiful man. I lost my mom when I was a few days short of my 7th birthday. And so it was me and my dad and my younger brother. And, that creates...
The Three Musketeers.
That creates a dynamic that's super intensified.
Yeah.
Of course, he remarried eventually, and that was cool and everything.
But you were still the Three Musketeers.
We had this shared, intense experience. He was raised by a woman, my grandmother, who had graduated from what is now the Juilliard School in 1916. At that point, it was still called the Institute of Musical Art. But it became Juilliard 8 years later, and she was a brilliant pianist, one of 13 children to an immigrant, all of whom went to college. That's a great story by itself.
Yeah.
An amazing story. And she was, sadly, she had decided that my father was going to be the next great Paderewski, the next great Vladimir Horowitz. She was going to mold my poor father, this poor little guy born in New York City, in Brooklyn, into the next great pianist. Well, all she did was torture him to death. Mm-hmm. And so he escaped as soon as he could, and he escaped by joining the Navy at exactly the time the Second World War started.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
So he served in the Navy. He was wounded in action. I mean, the whole 9 yards, and left the Navy in 1946. Went to college on the GI Bill.
You know why? Because there wasn't enough action anymore.
Ugh. Went to college on the GI Bill and ended up going into business, graduated from Columbia Business School, but then went back to the piano. So I'm born in 1954, and there was always music in my house, either from my grandmother, who insisted everyone play the piano, or my father, who insisted we not listen to my grandmother.
That's hilarious.
It was hilarious. And he played, she insisted on me playing Bach and Beethoven and Mozart. My dad insisted that I be playing Gershwin, Porter, and Kern.
Is this the same grandma that's like, you're not a real doctor?
No, that was my Aunt Rosie.
Okay, Aunt Rosie.
That was my Aunt Rosie.
I love her.
Aunt Rosie, the shriveled raisin of a human being with a mind like a razor blade. Yeah, that's another story. But
there's Occam's razor and there's Rosie's razor.
Rosie's razor.
Like, you think you accomplished something? Rosie's like, let me show you what you accomplished.
But everyone's got an Aunt Rosie.
Right. Can you write a description?
Everyone's got an Aunt Rosie. Okay, you're circumcised at 6 days and your balls are cut off every day after that. And that's Aunt Rosie. The Moyle does the circumcision and Aunt Rosie does the rest.
She does the mincing.
The family slasher. God. Exactly.
You are in rare form tonight.
I'm just telling you. But my dad was my friend, and he introduced me to all this great music, and he supported me in my musical ambitions in a way that most parents would not. My stepmom did not. She thought it was stupid, crazy, moronic. She was right, as it turns out. But
you took a pass on Bruce Springsteen. You're like, yeah, no, thanks.
Yeah,
so let's be honest.
That's a horrible story. And we're not going to go back there because I'm still embarrassed by it.
It is hilarious.
It's a terrible story.
Yes, one need only listen to any of the Dr. Bob Greenberg episodes on the Break It Down show. This is what is known as Pete bringing up old shit.
Well, this is what's known as the arrogance and hubris of youth, of which
that's right.
I was guilty as well as everybody else. Yes, exactly. Which means a total a-hole. But back to the larger point is that my dad and I played four-hand piano all the time, duets, and he was a wonderful man and a sweet man and a gentle man. And so he passed on October 21st at the age of 92 and a half.
He had a great run.
Sharp as a blade till the end. Sharp as Aunt Rosie's blade till the very end. He could
still box 15 rounds.
Well,
he was old school. They went 15 back then.
Only with an actual box.
Well, never mind that. That's a small detail.
Only with a small, like a shoebox. Okay.
That'd be a small box.
Yeah. Only with a shoebox. But I talked to him on Monday. He was great. We were talking about his Jets because he loved the New York Jets. He's a masochist, a typical New Yorker. Right. And then on Tuesday, he went into the hospital with a little bleeding. And before you know it, everything just, what do they say? They say cascaded. He had bleeding, then his blood pressure fell, then his kidney stopped working, then his body was filled with potassium, which stops your heart.
Right.
And so he died on Saturday. And it was a gentle, sweet death. And, of course, I was in Seattle when all of this happened on a gig. So I didn't show up until Sunday, the day after he passed away. But it happened sweetly, and my brothers were there, and my kids were there, my older kids were there. And all his other grandchildren were there. So, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It still hurts.
Yeah.
Grief is grief. Grief is the most... it's the most difficult emotion because there really is no way to mask it. There's nothing you can say. There's no consolation. Either someone is here or someone isn't here.
No, but there is something about grief in that you can't mask it, and you especially can't mask it to those who have done it. And when that is the case, I think that, humanity is best when it is related that way.
And I will remember my dad, and I have 4 kids, and they're all going to remember their pops. Mm-hmm. And none of us gets remembered for more than a few generations. Right. For God's sake, if we're lucky. I mean, if you're Washington, fine. Yeah. God bless us. But my father will be remembered for his generations. And that's as it should be. Yeah. And that's as it always has been and always will be.
Right. Yeah, at some point, your contribution gets captured, for most people, into 100, 150 words. Mm-hmm. A couple of snapshots, and that's it. You just hope that, forget all that. Let's enjoy the moment. It sounds like your dad had the ability to have a contribution with you that, heck, look at him. We're having a great time sitting here, and that's a great reflection of your dad, and regardless of his physical being, he's here present with us now.
And there's something that he had that I wish I could have. And that is an immediate momentary joy in the world as it is at this moment. Mm. He was one of those rare people, and I say that because at 63 I realize it's rare, who lived in the moment, who enjoyed the moment, didn't freak out too much about the future, and never let the past worry him. Mm. Now, others might say, oh, that just means he was like, had blinders on and wasn't looking. But for him, it worked. He lived a long life. He lived a good life. He had 2 wives who loved him. He had 4 kids, or 3 kids who loved him. He had 8 grandchildren who loved him. I mean, excuse me, duh. Yeah. What other legacy can we hope for?
No, that's it.
Yeah, really.
That's it.
Absolutely.
When you get down to it, that's it. Like, here are the lives you can choose. 92, adored by your family.
Mm-hmm. Lived an honorable life.
Yeah. Never ran after the moment he left the Navy. Not that the Navy runs hard anyhow.
No. But he was beautiful when he was in the Navy.
Navy runs hard anyhow.
Well, that's like such an Army guy.
That's a soldier
right
talking
there.
Yeah.
Just such an Army guy. Well, they're just sitting on freaking ships. Where are they going to run?
Yeah. Where are they going to run?
Well, but if they're under fire, nowhere.
Yeah. No. Right. Straight into
problem.
It.
Right.
Well, here's what I will say. When you said that you played 4-hand piano, what I imagined was a lovely father-son duet emanating charisma into the audience of heart and soul.
Well, no, and that's so beautiful.
Something bouncy and bluesy.
Freaking poetic. No, we would Schubert and Beethoven symphonies. We would play 4-handed music.
See, always
and we'd be sitting
more
there
serious.
Well, no, but we'd be sitting there elbowing each other. I'd say, Dad, you got that wrong. And then he'd elbow me. He goes, you freaked that out. And bang, bang, bang. It was fun.
Yeah.
That just happened fun. It was just sport. Mm-hmm. It was just sport. Like throwing a ball to your dad when you're 10 years old.
Yeah.
You're throwing a ball. But when I'm 45 and he's 74, we're not throwing the ball anymore, but we're playing the piano together.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. Dad, you dropped the ball.
Oh.
Well, dude, you didn't catch it.
Right.
It was the same good time.
Yeah.
It was the same good time.
And like the dad of the basketball, he uses his butt to back his kid down to the hoop.
Tell me about it.
You do like your dad's like, that's jazz.
Yeah,
yes.
but I have to tell you something.
Yes.
My dad had no butt.
That's jazz.
My dad had no butt, so I always won those competitions.
Okay. Fair enough, but he still tried to muscle you in that way, and he still gave the.
And when we
excuse
did play basketball together, he had this ridiculous two-handed shot,
The set shot.
which was so freaking typical of 1941. Two-handed set shot. I said, "Dad, that is so old."
Yep.
And then he hit another 25-foot shot
Right.
over me. I said, "Okay, so whatever."
Yeah.
Whatever.
Lucky shot.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
move on.
Exactly. The wind took it.
The win. Yeah.
I got monsters coming in.
Oh, hey, there's Daniel.
Me and Dan are going to go to Pelican Bay together and do a workout.
That's right.
All
Great.
lats, all the time.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes. Come in. What are you doing? Oh, he needs somebody to let him in.
No, he
Are we to
doesn't.
let him in? Oh,
I was going to act like I didn't know what he was talking about.
yeah.
I was going to keep waving at him.
You could milk that for many minutes, too.
I wanted to take a second and acknowledge how good Dr. Bob's martinis are. Traditional gin martinis.
You know what? I make an amazing martini.
You do.
An amazing martini.
You do.
There is one person I will trust. How you doing,
What's
buddy?
up, Dan? You know us, right?
I'll get one,
You've
too.
seen us before, right?
How you doing, bud?
You want some cheese?
Oh,
You know what's really good is this
salami.
whipped up cheese right here.
Everybody loves salami. Want a cracker?
Yeah, that
There
stuff
you go.
right there is ridiculous.
Yep. Well done.
There you go.
Good job.
It's a sandwich.
Perfect.
There you go.
That is perfect.
Danny, we need major quiet, babe. Oh my God.
Oh, that's okay. We don't need major quiet. We need
We like Dan. We know
Yeah.
what Dan does. Dan brings the party.
exactly what he's doing. What has just happened is that Curt has taken up the task of keeping us hydrated.
Yes.
Hi,
He is our
Lily. How
water
you
boy.
doing?
Are you going to play the piano for us later on? We need to close the show out with the song.
Remember Jon and Pete, and you need to do
This is Curt. Curt, that's
my
Lily.
Lillian.
She's our favorite. We don't say that out loud.
See, this is the thing, right? Curt brought the new martinis, which is great. And in mine is an olive from the Santa Barbara Olive Company.
Oh, here's the thing about the ingredients are part of what goes into the greatest martini. Now, I was just saying that I make an amazing martini. I'll go up against anybody. But there is one martini to which I will take a knee.
As
And
you
that
should.
is Dr.
Thank you.
Bob's.
Yeah.
And
Perfect practice makes.
and he makes an amazing martini, one that should be lauded
Yes.
and studied. He gets the meniscus on the top of the glass with just a subtle number of shards of ice and the Santa Barbara olives.
Yeah.
And the Santa Barbara Olive Company is the exclusive provider of olives in, that's right, in
Lots
Casa
of love to
Greenberg.
Curt. Yeah.
Nice work, Curt.
Yes.
Very well done.
Bringing it home.
I don't know who's going to drive home, but it's not going to be me.
It might be as my dear departed father would have said, Uba.
Uba. The Ubas.
Uba.
I like how you get older, like things start to have the word "the" in front of it, like my diabetes, the Target.
I need to go to the Target.
Or here's another way.
So I can get my diabetes medicine.
It's always the possessive targets.
Targets.
I'm going to Nordstrom's.
I'm going to. Yes.
Yes.
As if old man Nordstrom was still manning
exactly.
the door.
Yes.
Exactly.
I had a coworker turned friend turned mentor turned beloved acquaintance named Leroy McGrew, who has passed on.
Leroy McGrew.
But Leroy McGrew, he used to say, Leroy McGrew is my name. And, some rhyme came after that. And he was a wonderful, kind-spirited human being, but he dressed like a pimp. And he always had a Cadillac that was clean. And if you saw him
So
in
he
the
didn't have children.
downtime-
He didn't have children.
He did. They were grown and gone by the time
Okay,
I
because
knew him.
clean cars are an indication that you either didn't have
the
children or they're
are done.
grown and gone.
Yeah.
Correct.
So he would have his Cadillac was always clean because in the downtime, when you
Yes.
looked the other way, he had in his car in the trunk what he termed a Turkish towel. I don't know what was different about this towel, but it was a Turkish towel, and he used it to wipe down the dust on his car. So any time of the day or night, any day of the year, his car was always clean, and his clothes were always clean, and he would say, Leroy McGrew is my name. And here's the other thing that he would do is when I saw him last, he said to me that I ought to join, I don't know what it was he was selling. He was always selling something. I don't know what he was selling, but there was an incentive that involved the possibility that you might win a trip to Mexico. And I said, if I win this trip, Leroy, I'm bringing you. I want to go with you to Mexico. And his reply, his lovely wife Sharon forbade him because of some incident that had happened in their past. But the way that he expressed it was, oh no, you see, Sharon would not allow me to go to the Mexico area. Not only was he forbidden from Mexico, he was forbidden from the entire Mexico area.
Right. That means no San Diego, at least southern
From San Diego to El Salvador.
Calexico?
I would say.
No. Right.
Yeah.
To close out these things, Curt, thank you for making these martinis.
Yeah. Nice
and
work,
I noticed
Curt.
that you gave Dr. Bob the lemon garnish. We, of course, have the Santa Barbara olive.
That's right. Santa Barbara olives.
I can't mention.
Okay, I'm going to talk about the
this.
Santa Barbara olives for just a minute.
Please.
Because you know what? I've got this crazy collection of cocktail shakers, which I've been
not kidding.
doing for 30
It is
years.
bananas.
So I got about 650 cocktail shakers, of which about 600 are really El Primo and rare pieces. And over the years, the collection has been illustrated in a number of books. The Williams-Sonoma Bar Guide, Barnaby Conrad's book, The Martini, used my shakers. But I've also been asked, as if I've become some sort of expert because I collect these things, to talk about the ideal martini.
Okay.
And I have.
Mm-hmm.
I have all kinds of stuff that's been printed in magazines about how to properly make a martini, but it always comes down, as far as I'm concerned, to 3 or 4 things. First of all, good ingredients in, good ingredients out.
Yes.
Great, thick crystal glasses chilled, yes. And then what we call the
Dr.
Oliver.
Bob's hand is up, too.
Well, I want to make this clear. It's what we call the Oliver twist, the Dickens.
The Dickens.
The olive or the twist.
That's right.
Now, if you're going to do a twist, it's just going to be lemon. Now, when I had martinis at the Savoy in London.
Concord. Oh.
No, London.
Concord.
No, dear. No, dear. We're talking about the Savoy Hotel
Bring Pete
in
anywhere.
Oh, like the $2 movie Savoy?
London. Yeah, right. We're talking about a 32-pound martini in a tiny little glass. You want to talk ripoff.
Right.
But it was superbly made with Beefeater gin and a twist. They only used twists at the Savoy.
Wow.
And while the English didn't invent the martini, they did invent gin. And so we have to, it's an adaptation of a Dutch liqueur called Jenever. And that means juniper.
Juniper, right.
Correct. And gin also is a reflection on juniper. But back to the larger point, this is an American drink. And so the question is, with the olives, if you're going to use olives, what kind of olives are you going to use?
American olives.
Well, you got to use American olives.
American.
Well, the question is, first of all, how many? So, again, if you use one, that's okay, but that's like one testicle. 2 olives.
It really is.
2 olives is appropriate. 3 is bragging.
Right.
And here's the problem with 3 olives. It takes up too damn much room in the glass. Okay? That means it's less martini.
You got to make a longer stick.
Correct.
I have one olive out.
You need a bigger glass.
Yes.
Yes.
Bigger glass.
So,
That's also
and
true.
some people are clever enough to say they want the olives on the side. And that way, blah.
We call them alcoholics.
That's what we call them.
We call them...
I order my martini a little dirty with 3 olives. You know why?
Because you're
I'm a
bragging
little, I'm a
and
little
you're dirty.
braggart, and I need a longer stick.
Dude, and you say that, you know, I'm so impressed. I'm so proud of you that you could come clean like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, the search for the proper
The Break
olive.
It Down show is nothing if not cathartic.
No, it's the search for the proper olive is like the holy grail.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's hard enough to find the great gin, and I know the gins that I love. And that's a different story. But to find the great olive is a whole nother story. Now, at my Lucky store here in Montclair Village in Oakland.
This is the greatest Lucky's in all of the Lucky's.
Is it the last Lucky's?
I don't know. No, it's not the last,
No.
but it is the greatest.
But they used to sell this incredible olive made by the Santa Barbara Olive Company.
Yeah.
They used to make a whole line of them, but it was the chipotle, the hot pepper stuffed olives.
Okay, first of all, the chipotle stuffed olive.
Yes.
That is a uniquely this part of the world creation.
And I'm going to give you the Dr. Bob triple yes. The triple yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I learned after you.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Let's
it's-
also remark about the word chipotle pronounced correctly.
Yeah.
And it's not over spicy, but it's got enough body to make you know that you just ate something.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And that's the key, because you don't want to exclude
Meaty.
people.
No.
You just want to wake them up.
It's meaty. And so I used to buy these things. I'd see 5 on the shelf. I'd buy 5. And then they stopped carrying them because, like any corporate entity,
Come on, Lucky.
you know, they went to Mazzettas and they went to this and they went that. And I don't even know what brands they carry now. Excuse me, Lucky, I love you, but you crapped up when it came to olives. So I went online, found the Santa Barbara Olive Company. They're fantastic. I order them online a case at a time. Now I need another case. One of the first times you guys came here,
Yes.
you loved them so much.
Oh, yes.
And your daughter Brenna was with you.
Oh, yeah.
And she loved them so much. I just gave you a bottle, which to me is, I have to tell you something. I'll give you one of my kids.
That's saying something.
I'll give you my wife. I mean, you
That's
know.
saying something. If we can use a testicle reference again, it's really like handing one off.
Wives are a renewable resource.
Right. Yeah,
you know, as they
plenty
say,
of
they're
them.
like buses. There's another one along, every 10 minutes. But those jars of olives, man, it
you
wasn't a
also-
sacrifice because
yes.
I love you.
Right.
But I just want you to know, okay?
Well, it was an investment because I told Brenna we're coming to Dr. Bob's, and she was stoked. And then I showed her the picture of the martinis, and she said, yes, because she knows. So hook, line, and sinker, and the pole. She's like, I'm taking the pole, too.
Find it.
I'm all in Dr. Bob.
And I was so happy when Brenna turned 21 and I could make her a martini, too.
That's going to happen in May.
Okay. Love it. Love it.
It's going to happen eventually.
I love it. Well, it means she's coming back.
Yeah, of
gonna
course
be
she's
visiting.
coming back. Yeah,
Sure.
she'll be back in a couple of weeks. I'm going to tell her to come over
So
just to pop in.
Anyway, this is like a cheap pump for the Santa Barbara Olive Company, which is one of these fantastic.
That's right. And we all love
One
a
of these.
cheap pump.
One of these. No, excuse me. I mean, just duh.
It is.
We're going to go on because I'm
Yeah.
going to pump my own stuff now. But there's all this. This is why I love the internet.
Yeah.
Some people hate the internet. I love the
No.
internet.
For the access.
I can get whatever I want
That's
without
right.
having to worry whether Lucky
right.
is stocking it or not.
I'm
You
going
may
to talk
have to wait for the UPS man.
Yeah.
But you'll get it.
I want to talk to the Santa Barbara, actually, Pete Horne from Sun West Foods. They're a food broker. More importantly, I want
My
to
other favorite Pete in
Yeah,
the world.
right. No,
Pete Horne is awesome.
Yeah, Coors Lights and
Not Pete Tchaikovsky.
well, we like
Well,
him
Tchaikovsky's
I know
he's a
he's dead.
close third.
Yeah,
I know he's dead.
But wait until you meet Pete Horne.
Too. Yeah.
He's got a four-wheel drive Toyota
Yes.
Tundra. That thing will go anywhere, and
then-
he will take it anywhere.
And he's like, it's made to do this. Like, it's a $50,000 truck. He's like, but we're going over these hills.
Yeah.
There's a rocks there. It's supposed to go
like,
over.
no, this isn't going over that. And he
Yeah.
says, yes, it is. And I'm like, meanwhile, I'm ensconced in luxury. So what am I going to say?
Could it go over the poop hills in South Jersey?
Well,
And
that's
a
debatable.
whole bigger question.
Yeah.
But now we're coming back to where we were before.
Whether
So-
it will go out there is
I
a
want to
matter
say
of
this
good taste.
before we
But-
move on. Santa Barbara Olive Company should absolutely force you to wear an ascot. That's my part. And have you be like the spokesperson for it.
I would
standing in
rather-
front
You'd be
of
a
that
perfect spokesperson
An
for
ascot?
the Santa
An
Barbara
ascot?
thing. A
Olive
neckerchief.
me?
A neckerchief.
No, I'd rather have a mink-lined jockstrap.
Oh,
You see?
You know what?
You know why?
That's
Excuse
why I
me,
should leave
I
the
got
shit
my
alone.
priorities.
Because Dr. Bob is a player.
I've got my priorities. Thank
That's
you,
right.
gentlemen.